Hi, I'm Ty Farrell. I'm going to show you how to rig, bind, and skin and set up modular controls for a character model all inside of Unreal Engine. Typically, I handle all of these things inside of a software like Maya or Blender. But with the new updates for Unreal Engine 5, we can now handle all this work inside of Unreal Engine itself. I'm looking forward to showing you, so let's get started. Now, before we begin, I recommend using a character model with a similar A pose to the proportions of Manny or Quinn in Unreal Engine. I will be using a modular model I created, and it is available on the Fab Marketplace if you want it. I left a link in the description if you want this model. The modular model is a great starting point when you need to change different parts of your character, like body parts or clothing. You can do that if the character is modular. Let's go ahead and create a new project or open a project you already have. For this tutorial, I have a project open up and ready. First thing we want to do is import the character model that you are looking to rig. Open up your content browser and go to wherever your character model is. In my case, it's here, and simply drag it right into the content browser. Oops. Okay, we're going to leave all the settings as default, I believe. Yeah, let's keep them as default and just hit import. Okay, with this character model is not set up specifically for Unreal Engine. So the textures and the the materials that Unreal Engine creates for it are not perfect. So there's certain uh, materials that need opacity maps added correctly to it. Right now, this is what the character looks like, and you can see that there's certain things on him that are just not quite right. Looking at his hair, his eyes, and his eyelashes. Right? Everything else is fine. A little shiny, but you can always change the roughness values inside of the material. But I'm going to show you a quick way to clean this up first. If you ever have a model that you get off of Fab Marketplace, Turbo Squid, or somewhere else like that, sometimes you have to clean it up real quick. So for eyes, let's check that out first. This is what Unreal Engine gives us for the material. It attempts to figure out where all these parts go to create this material, all these textures. Then it adds lerps to it and constants to create the material that we have. So we don't actually need that. We don't need this opacity mask really for this part. So, and that's not an opacity mask. So I'll just delete that. The diffuse color we definitely need. And we'll just plug it right into the base color. Opacity, we'll just turn that off completely. And I'll get rid of the lerp and the diffuse map weight, opacity map weight. Up. I can save that. In fact, let's go to the scalp. I think that's going to be the best way to go here. Scalp, same thing. What ended up happening here is it's taking the opacity mask and it's using it as a base color as well as a opacity mask. And it's lerping it with this black color here. And that is good for the base color, but you don't actually need all that extra stuff like this. This can go directly into opacity mask because that's exactly what it is. Anytime you want to blur it out or something, you may have to add different values to it, but in this case, you don't. So a lot of these things I am just going to delete. I don't need that. I don't really need the lerp. And normal maps. Don't need to lerp this either. It thinks I have multiple normal maps, but there's only one, really. I created a different one. And roughness value, just make a constant here. At 5 or something for right now. Saving that texture. And that cleans up his hair. Let me see. Okay, so we have our guy, and this is how they look configured after you get the materials correct. Right. It doesn't take much to get the materials here. And in the future, I will be adding a version of him that's already created for Unreal Engine as an Unreal Engine asset. Okay, so we're going to make this guy, this character, into a rigged character. Right now, he has no bones at all. So take the character, find that character that you imported, right click on him, and you want to select Convert to a Skeletal Mesh. Here in this option box, you want to find the existing skeleton or create a new one. We are going to use an existing skeleton. Right. I'm going to be using the Manny and Quinn skeletons. The character that I created on Fab Marketplace is actually created with Manny and Quinn in mind. So selecting Mannequin. And the prefix is great. Remove SM and replace it with SKM. And here we go and convert. Give it a little time to put the shaders into place. Okay, now we have a new SKM model, SKM, a skeletal model. And this was just the static mesh. This was just a mesh without bones. This one now has bones. You see, and there you go. So that's Manny and Quinn's rig that he is using. Right now, he's not bound to those bones. Okay. But they're there. So I can move the bones, but he won't move. So the next thing we want to do is bind them to the bones, bind them to the skeleton. You just simply click bind skin and accept. Now when I click this, and just clicking on his upper arm, he's there, but there's issues, right? He's bound. Unreal Engine did its best to try to figure out what I wanted out of the skeleton, and it did a pretty good job. But now what we need to do is copy the skin weights from Manny or Quinn over to this character. That's the easiest way to do it. Otherwise, you can go in and you can actually edit the weights by painting in the information. That takes some time, and maybe in another tutorial I'll show you how to do that. But we're going to click on Edit Weights now. Okay, and we want to, instead of brush weight editing mode, want to select Mesh. Then we're going to go all the way down here to Transfer Weight Area, the weight transfer. And we want a source skeleton, the skeleton that we're going to be taking the weighted information for the skeleton from. That's going to be Manny or Quinn. I keep saying Manny or Quinn, but I believe, yeah, I'm going to be using Manny. Let's just say Manny. It's loading Manny. Give it a moment. And the mesh of Manny appears to the side of our mesh that we're using. And what I'm going to do is just select all of the mesh points here. These are, I believe, vertex points on the mesh. And with mayonnaise here, I'm not going to change anything. So click transfer weights. Okay. After you select all the vertex points here on the model, I just click drag, select them all. Don't worry about selecting anything on Manny, it won't do that. And just hit transfer. Then accept. And now, hopefully Unreal doesn't make me into a liar. And it didn't. Okay, so now it has Manny's skin weights applied. Okay, so we're good. And if this is all you wanted, you just wanted to put a skeleton on this character and apply skin weights so you can use animations, you're actually all set. I'll show you here. Currently I have Quinn here. That's Quinn. Go up here to preview mesh and just switch it to, and everything works great. And you can do this with any character that's your and skin weights, and you'll be good to go. Forward and adding a rig or a control rig to this so you can get more work done. Let's say if you're animating something and you want to tweak the animation a bit, it's probably best to put a modular model or modular rig onto this character. So I'll go ahead and save this. Close that out. We don't need all this open. And we'll go back to content browser. Now that character that we have here, we can save it all for right now. Get that all saved. And in the content browser, navigate to your new skeletal mesh with the bones and the transferred skin weights. This is mine right here. You're going to right click and you're going to hit skeleton, not skeleton. What we want to do is go to create and go to modular rig and click it. And down here is where we can create the modular rig, set it up. So double click that new file that was created, new asset that was created. And here he is in the modular rig form. Okay, so to the left, we have the modular assets. These are all the things you can add to different sockets here. Right now, we only have one socket for the spine, but different sockets, you can add these types of assets, these types of modular control rigs. Down here, you'll see the hierarchy populate once we start adding controls. And over here to the right is the skeleton, and it is showing you where it's only showing one. Okay, only showing one right now, one of the sockets that we can use, but it will populate with others as we go. So currently, you can actually move him around, I do believe, because he's attached to the global control, which is right here. It says global control, root control, body offset control. So you're already getting a few controls here. Global control, you can also make them grow, shrink. That's where you want to do that kind of stuff. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is add to his first socket the spine. This whole thing right here, this skeleton part, is part of the spinal column, as you can see here. spine, and there's our spine 1 socket. So we need to get the spine, not an animal spine, but a human spine. This one down here. Click and add. And now it populates with more sockets to add more parts to, which is great. You can see over here where these sockets are, and that's where we put the spine, the primary spine, start bone. And now we're going to the neck. So neck is up here next. We need a neck. Let's see, neck. Just click and drag and add it to that socket. And you can always test these controls out as you put them on. So here, you want to rotate, you can see that he can rotate from that control. Uh-oh, like I broke the rig. Sometimes that happens. This whole thing with Unreal Engine is new, so there's a few bugs in it, and we'll go over that. Right now is the way it updates. Sometimes you have to compile to get it to update, but sometimes it's a little slow. My computer's a little slow anyway, but it may be a little slow to update. Just hit Control Z to go back to the previous rig point and start again. So I'm back on the spine. It's rigged up for spine. I'm going to go ahead and click and drag the neck over to the neck area right here, neck socket. And we should be good to go. I should be able to use this rig without it freaking out. Let's see. Whoop, whoop. It freaked out. All right. I'm just going to put these in here. Sometimes it does that, but not to worry. It is not a big deal if it does that off the back. We'll go to the shoulders next. Here's the shoulders. One shoulder, shoulder L. Let's see, and shoulder right. I'm doing it like that. You can mirror in here, but I choose not to. There are some bugs with the mirroring where it will no longer be able to tell what certain areas are and where certain sockets are anyway. And it's an easy way to update that. You just go into here. If you get an error message over here, go over here and right click it, and usually it will have auto resolve here. You click on that and it will it's pretty good at it, but I've been in trouble a few times with this where it didn't auto resolve properly, and it took a few hours for me to figure it out. So instead of going with that, we're going to go a little slower, and we're going to put each of these sockets, each of these modular parts of the rig onto the sockets individually. Now the next area, we'll go down to the hand, and the hand sockets are actually the arms. So grab an arm and drag it here. Right. And it's smart. It knows where the arm is going. It'll say, oh, you want it for the left one. Okay, no problem. There we go. And that's universal to see red for that red color on the control for right and blue for left. That's very common. All right. Now we have our fingers. So we'll do something different here with the fingers. We don't want to just drag each of these. That takes a little longer than I care for. So just click on these sockets. There's a thumb socket. We'll click over here for that. I'm just holding the control button down, or if you're on a Mac, the command button, and click on the sockets. Click, click. We have all those selected. Just drag this finger control right onto one of the fingers. Give it a little time, and it populates all of your fingers. Okay. Okay, so now we have that. And let's go ahead and do the legs now. Legs are right here. They'll connect to the hip, thigh area. So grab a leg, connect it. Grab another leg, connect it. There we go, got legs. Now, that's as far as I go right now with the control rig, and it's set up, right? So we can compile and save it. It's set up. Now I have a control rig. I don't do the feet yet. So I get decent results when I add a foot. But if you grab this foot uh, right here and you drag it down onto the ball of the foot, put it on. The problem with me and with the bug that I'm catching, and it's not just me, it's other people, is when you put a foot bone down, put a foot control rig down, it deletes things and the hierarchy gets messed up, and it takes a while to clean all that up. Don't feel like cleaning all that up. Don't really need that foot rig. Because I still have, if you see here, whoops, you can grab that. Oh, here, now you have the control for that. This is for the whole leg, and you can move the leg around. Now, what you're missing here is to be able to roll, right? The foot roll at the bottom is what will be missing. I'm not too worried about that. And he should be good to go to move now because I totally compiled them and saved. And that's another bug issue. Sometimes you noticed in the middle of putting the rig together and testing it out, sometimes things will get stuck. So you just have to undo back to the previous step and you should be fine, and compile and save each time. Uh, if you want to see updates, constant updates. Right. Sometimes it's fine and you don't have to do all that, but sometimes it's not. It's still a little unstable. And here's the arm working fine. So I now have control rig. So he's all set up, and that's it. If you needed that for animation, you literally just drag him into, let's say you're doing an animation, you would drag him right in there, and he has the control rigs. If you need this in Blueprint, you just slide it right into your Blueprint for your player control. So thank you very much for watching. Any questions, please leave it in the comment section. I do get back to you. And yeah, I'll see you next time.